We will talk today for the parts that we call it sensor and social, and also because we leave the block and already you start to work that just I will give you the name of the block just to review and very short description I will tell you. Um, Later we have more talk regarding this block section. You know that one of the nice things that we can make with the application is relation between the app and some controller or some processor. And obviously, if you need the processor or microcontroller, they should connect to some extra part that we call it sensor as the input part for the uh, processor. Now, what we want that have some app to log the data from this processor and have the connection between them. Or maybe some that could be one application. Another application could be some sensors that already they put inside your mobile. Some of them you know, some of them you don't know. Hmm? That sensors also we should use. Then the aim of sensor section in app is that two things. First is that the sensor which is already we have on our mobile phone, and the sensors which maybe we have on some processor or some microprocessor, and we want to log the data. This sensor part is split into the part that I mentioned. The different now you can see between the box and the mm, figure. It's based on the Chinese version of App Inventor. Even maybe some of you now notice that in Chinese version there is no emulator, but in the main one, if you can install, there is an emulator that you can use. Some students even send me their task based on emulator. I will go very brief about these sensors because for some of them there are lots of events that maybe it will take one day to describe, but just we are going to review with each other for the further study. Okay. The first sensor that we'll use is accelerometer sensor, which is some non-visible component. Non-visible means that in the sense, if you put it on your desk, it's not showing anything. Means it needs some button, it needs something to trigger it, and then you can run it. These sensors can detect the shaking and measure the acceleration approximately in the 3 dimension with the meter divided by s square. The components of this part, it's ACCL or X ACL, which is have two value. When it has zero means the phone is at the rest and on the flat surface. When it's positive, when the phone is tilted to the right or its left side is right, and negative when phone is tilted on to the left when right side is raised. This is for the X, and Y axle is then when the your mobile is on the flat, and it's positive when bottom is raised, and negative when its top is rise. Z ACSL is has some equal to 9 - 9.8, means that Earth gravity, which is in the meter per second, when device is at the rest parameter parallel to the ground, it's zero where it's perpendicular to the ground, and plus 98 when it's facing down. The value also can be affected by accelerating in with against the gravity. Then the first sensor was accelerometer, which can be useful for measuring the speed. The next sensor is barcode scanner, which is very useful, and you can even scan the QR code and getting back the result screen. In these sensors, we have result and use external scanner, which in the result, we can get the text result of previous scan. And for the user, use external scanner, you can set whether or not you wish to use the external scanning programs such as barcode scanner, and that if false, a version of Jing integrated into the app inventor will be used. This sensor has one event which we call it after scan, which in that it will revert the result provided for us, and do a scan which begins a barcode scan using the camera, and when a scan is complete, the after second event will be raised. Clock is one of the most important part which we have any development tool. This part is also non-visible, but I bring one example here, which the instance in time using the internal clock on the phone, and it can fire a timer at regularly set interval and perform time calculations, manipulators, and conversions. Operating on dates and time, such as date picker and time picker, are accomplished through the method in clock. Date and time are presented as instant in time and duration. Instant means it consists of year, month, day of month, hour, minute, and second, and instant can be created using the make instant, make instant from miles, and make instant from parts method. Another part is during, which in that time is in millisecond and it's elapsed between the instant, and duration can be obtained by that. Here you can see the clock, how I use the clock. And then I also use the month, date, and year to read from the clock part. Okay. Remember one point, which that the duration method, uh, about generation method, which in that instants are assumed to be the device's local time zone. And when they are converted to or from milliseconds, the milliseconds from a given instance are calculated from, suppose, January 1, 1970 in the UTC, means Greenwich time. Method to convert an instance on text are also available. We have that. An acceptable pattern or something like that. Month, date, year, hours, minute, and second, or month, the space, D and YY and H caps dots M small. These are the methods that you can work with the clock part. A note on combining date and time is that in order to combine these two parts from the one instance and the time from another, for example, the date picker and time picker exact the parts as text and use the text to create the new tools. Here again, last example is there that you can watch. Okay, one more sensor, nice sensor, is gyroscope or gyro, which in that components provide data from device gyroscope sensors. you have properties and events for that. Properties indicates where the gyros is available or not. Enable properties getter method, angular velocity around x, the angular around y, then the angular around z. These are the properties, and as the event, you have the indicate that the gyroscope sensors data has changed, and the times stamp parameter is the time in nanoseconds at which the event control. Okay, hydrometer is also one type of sensor that can measure the relative ambient and air humidity if supported by the hardware. Okay, what we learn is that we start to observe and see the sensor part which we have for our app Inventor. And now let us continue with light sensor, which is the physical world component that can measure the light level. And it has some properties like available, which is specify whether or not these tools is available. There is some average lux, which is written the brightness in lux by averaging the previous 10 measure value. The sensors must be enabled and available to return the meaningful value. And next part is lux, which returns the last measured brightness in lux. And the sensor must be enabled and available to return the meaningful value. Next one is refresh time, which to require the minimum time in millisecond and between change in reading, ringing, and maintain. Then this part, we have some refresh time also, which is requested the minimum time in the millisecond between the change in the readings being reported. Android is not guaranteed to honor the request, means that refresh time sometimes has some delay, which is not proper. And setting this property has no effect on pre-gingerboard device. See that we have one event of the light change and indicates the light level change for us. Um, the next part that we have is location sensors. Now, let me tell you one experience. I think the location sensors between that app, it's something like that you can develop on your mobile. But if you want to transfer that app, it will not work on others' mobile phone. There was some charge for that, but anyway, this is the good part, which is non-visible and providing the location information, including the latitude, longitude, and altitude, something like GPS that you have, speed if supported by the device and address. This can be performed the geocoding and converting given address, not necessarily the current one, to latitude with the latitude from address method and longitude with the longitude from address method. Then, in order to function, the components must have its enable property set to true, and the device must have the location sensing enabled through the wireless network or GPS satellite. Location information might not be immediately available when an app starts, and you will have to wait a short time for location forwarder to be found and use and wait. The emulator also, remember, does not emulate these sensors on the old device, and code should be tested on the physical real hardware. Magnetic field sensor is another one, which in that this is the components for magnetic field sensor indicate the absolute strength of the field, whether or not magnetic field is enabled, indicate the maximum, indicates the exactly y and z. And it has the event like the trigger when magnetic field has changed and setting the new values in parameter. Near field is one more sensors that or components which to provide the NFC capability. Some mobile have this, some mobile don't have this NFC feature. For now, this component supports the reading and writing of text only. And in order to read and write text tag, the components must have its read more property start set to true or false. And also remember this point that these components will only work on screen one of any app inventor. Okay, one more sensor will be our orientation sensor, which this type of sensors also uh, can be a nice part of your application, and you can use it easily between your design based on the application. Use an orientation sensors will do to determine the four spatial orientation. An orientation sensor is non-visible component that just its report the following three value: roll, pitch, and azimuth. They will do. Roll is 0 when the device is level. It's 1 when it has the uh, increase to 90 degrees as the device is tilted up onto the left side, and decreasing to minus 90 when device is tilted up onto the right side. Pitch is the another parameter which is 0 when the device is level and increasing to 90 degree as the device is tilted, so its top is pointing down. The decreasing to 0 as it get the turnover, and similarly as device is still, so the bottom points down, pitch decrease to minus 90 and then increase to 0. Azimuth is also 0 when top of the device is uh, pointing north, 90 when it's in pointing east, 180 when it's pointing south, 270 when it's pointing west. And these measurements assume that the device itself is not the moving. It can be canceled by the values used that people do. Pedometer is another sensor which is used to count the step by using the accelerometer. Then now maybe you get something like Wavicare application. You understand what exactly I will say. I mean the pedometer, which in that you have properties and event. In properties, you have distance, means that return the approximate distance that you will travel. Return the time elapsed will be in elapsed time. Simple step returns the number of simple steps take since the pedometer has a start. Stop detection when returns to duration of idleness, after which go into the stop point. And another one is a straight length when the result assume of slight stride length in meters. If calibrated or return the default of 0.73 meter, uh, in like that. or otherwise. Returning the number of walk step takes since the pedometer has a start, we'll do with the walk step. We are not need really to save all these points. Just we are searching for some application based on them. Then you will, if that was true, true. If that was uh, wrong like that, we can also have. Uh, okay. Next sensor is proximity sensor, which has the sensor components that can measure the proximity of an object. It's in centimeter relative to the view screen of the device. And this sensor is typically used to determine whether handset is being held up to the person's ear or no. It may be nice things when you will start to uh, do your when you will start to do your app job. Uh, Maybe in the next text, I will tell you how to use this. And many device returns the absolute distance with this type of the proximity sensor in centimeter, but some returns only near and far values. Remember that in this case, the sensor usually report its maximum range value. Means that we talk regarding the accuracy of this sensor in the far states and lesser values in the near states. Okay. Uh, Thermometer is another sensor. You see that we have lots of sensors to review. And this is the physical world components that can measure the ambient air temperature if supported by the hardware. Don't forget, you can use these parts from your application or for your mobile or any other system, any Android based system, if you have the hardware. If you don't have the hardware part, you cannot use them. Okay, remember this. Then we can have some properties like available, enable, refreshing time, and temperature, and some temperature change as the event which we can. And mainly, as I remember, this part will give the values in the term of uh, Celsius. Okay, that was sensor parts. I try to talk fast because really that was maybe vast part and vast description regarding them. You should use them to learn. It's not difficult. You will do in the next task, not today task. But you will have lots of fun and real application with that. Next part is social. And if you can see in the Chinese version again, we have some change. Here in Chinese version, we have QQ contact, which is in the main version, we have Twitter. And but I will describe you Twitter, but you can check on QQ also. Contact picker, email picker, phone cell, phone numbers picker, sharing and texting also we have. Just different is between Twitter and QQ with the Chinese version. Contact picker is the button that when click on display a list of the content to choose amount. And after user has made the selection, the following properties will be set to information about the chosen contact. We have contact name, email address, email list. No need to tell you what is that. You know already. Email list is the list of the email address. Contact URL is the URL of the contact device. Phone number list, picture, and all are the related part to the contact picture. And other properties affect the appearance of the button and whether it can be clicked, means that enable or not. The contact picker components might not work in all phone. Remember, for example, on Android system before 3.0, it cannot pick phone numbers, and the list of email address will contain only one email uh, for the others. Remember this point. Email picker is also some type of the text box which use to help you to have the email and pick the related information to this part. Uh, it's if the user bring entering the name or email address of the contact, the phone will show the drop-down menu of chosen that complete the entry. If there are many contacts, the drop-down can take several seconds to appear and can show intermediate result while matches are being computed. The initial contents of text box and contact is something like this contents after user entry the text property. And if the text properties is initially empty, the contents of it uh, property will be finally shown in the text box as hint to the user. Other properties also affect the appearance of the text and background, or whether it's again enable or not. And text box like these are usually used with some bottom components, with the user clicking on the bottom when text entry is complete. Don't forget this part that email picker needs some bottom also. Phone call is also same as that. It's some non-visible components which can take the phone and something like phone call or the we have some example like this. Suppose 650 like this. You should set the phone numbers to the text with all the numbers, means that you should not put a line between them. Dash, dots, and separator may be included, but will be ignored, and a space may not be included. Remember these things when you want to give address. Often these components used with the contact picker component, which let user to select the contacts from one stored on the phone and set the phone number property to the contact picker phone property. Phone pick number picker we have, which when we click on that, display the list of the uh, components and list of the components and contacts and phone numbers to choosing amount. It's also have contact number, phone number, email address, and picture, which you can select them. This feature you have, and other properties affect the appearance of the bottom again. Remember this point that phone number picker components just working for the Android system, which are above uh, 3.0, and return the list of the phone number and email address will be empty if you use this. Sharing is again one non-visible component that enable the sharing the files uh, and or message between your app and other app installed on the device. These components will display the list of the installed app that can be handled the information provider and will allow the user to choose one to share the contact with for instance, a mail app, social network app, texting app, and so on. Remember this that the file path can be taken directly from other components such as camera or image picker and can be also specified directly to read from the storage. Be aware that different devices create storage differently, so few things to try if, for instance, you have the file which is, we call it suppose arrow.gif. In App Inventor, it will be something like that. SD card, App Inventor, assist, arrow.gif. Okay, or storage, App Inventor. It depends on the OS and your uh, mobile phone that you want to use. Texting is other components that when send message method uh, we will call this, and launch the device preferred texting app to send the text message specified in the send message property to the phone. With this, you should specify in the phone number property, and you may also send text without user interaction by calling. There is some case in this part. If receiving enable property is set to one, message will not be received. If this is set to two, message will be received only when the application is running. And finally, if it's set to 3, message will be received when the application is running, and when the application is not running, they will be quit and a notification will be displayed. When the message arrives, the message received event is raised and provide the sending number of message. Then more point about this texting means that you can connect it to Google Voice enabled, which now I think if we work with the texting part, it will be better. In the web page part, we have Twitter, but in Chinese version, we have QQ. Both are good. We don't have any restriction to use, but Twitter one or QQ part have the same feature, which are enabled to communicate with Twitter. You want to send something directly to your Twitter account. You have searching Twitter for labels, for tweets, for sending a tweet with an image, directing, getting the list of users follow, and all activity from the Twitters, you can have them in this App Inventor. From this point, I can tell you, App Inventor, it's very nice. But maybe for uh, QQ or Twitter, you should have some customer key, which you can find it with web page, and you should read how to use the Twitter and App Inventor later. Okay, now that was the two part which I select for the UI section. Just very brief, because already you are using them. Uh, it will not take much more time. We will review the blog section of the App Inventor. More talk I have, but I prefer to tell you later about the. Uh, if we change the designer button to the block part, you will see that in the built-in block, there are some parts like control, logic, math, text, list, dictionaries, colors, variables, and procedures. These parts are available regardless of which components are in your project. In addition to these language blocks, each component in your project has its own set of blocks specific to its own event methods and properties. This is some very fast overview that I will put. I will try to don't even put much more text here. For the control blocks, we have the if, for, while, do, close a screen with plain, close a screen with value, close application, break, and all, which it's very useful to control the environment. Suppose if the key is pressed, if the image is pressed, if something happened, then it will happen. Or while, or for, these are the control section. Logic part, as we know, true, false, not equal, and or, which is very helpful for us to work, is the second part. Maths part is are the some mathematical function that means like sine, cosine, tan, assign, random set, greater, equal, multiply, floor, all these things we can do. For this part, I have one task that we may create a calculator for yourself. It means that we may create the calculator that we can use it. Next task, I will tell you how to do with this. Still, we have some parts, some string job, length, having the length. Check that the string is empty or no. Like the C language, we had some part to check the string. Here also we have in App Inventor. Suppose uh, list of the blocks. Suppose create empty list, make a list, is it list, get the key, pair. These are is a dictionary. All this part we have, which we should use them. Then you will enjoy. And color block, which is we are used to make the color, split the color, variables block, procedures do, set, get. These are the parts which we have as the block. We will talk more about this part, but in the time of the practical, because just talking like that, it's not something that even I like you to do. That was very brief about two environment part and block. For the environment, still I will continue to finish. For the block, I will try to give the example in the next lecture that we have, which you will enjoy more. Okay, now first part of today's lecture is finished. Please turn on your camera that we do the attendance and then take some rest and then come back. Now, for the second part of today's lecture, we talk regarding the practical point of um, App Inventor, and we are going to see some point which will help you when you will design uh, any application for yourself. First of all, is that suppose if you want to generate the logo of your application on your mobile with your photo. Now you can see here what I have done. I made three apps which I made them with my logo or with my photo as a logo there. How we should create this type of app? Simply when you will generate your app, just come here and in the icon part, load the picture that you want to select as the application icon. Okay, it's then you will see nicely that how your mobile application shape will become like your photo or your image. Um, then point number two is that how we can have the switch between the screen. Uh, Means that to open the another screen that you see the block under the control palette called open another screen, like that you will do. You test it, but just we will review it. Very simply, you will put one button on your designer figure, one button, and then from the when you going and select the open another screen name and put suppose the screen that you want to go there. Then simply when you press the button on the screen, you means the designer part. Then from that you will go for the screen that you address it there. It's very simple and just this you can remember, which open the another screen. Very what we can say informative part or nice and simple even task is that when we want to share some information between a screen, suppose we want to share a specific name or one word between page number 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, we can use this method. One application could be this that suppose you want to um, get the user's name at the first page and then at the top of all page you put his name, something that we have in our task. Very simply you can use this job and components and variable in one screen uh, as you know are not available to another one, and if you want to share them you should use the TinyDB components. which through that you will have on each screen, and both really point to one and only teeny DB database. One onboard screen might change the shared data, but in each screen you will need the screen initialize as the block shown to read the current value. Means that simply when a screen is initialized, you will go and read the text or call the teeny DB and then get the value and then show it there. It can be one hint for working with App Inventor, which is a nice point. One things that I wanted to make for you, but due to time, I added much more time to do it. But all these things are available on the YouTube. I don't hesitate to tell you that. I take this from YouTube for you, but here it shows the process and how it will work. Let me run it. Yes. What we want to make one exit button with the notification. Means that when I say exit, it do the notification. Simply, I can take the one button like this, put it there, and then this button we can rename it or not, and one notifier that we review in the first lecture. Now you will see that I have button that I can rename it, put it exit like that. Okay, and then we put it as the exit button. Change the color of that. Suppose orange one. Okay, simple. And then something like font, and that you can work on that. Okay, you see that here. What you written on the bottom is not changed because you just rename the name of the bottom. If you want to change it, you should change the text on that. And then change the place. Generally put it at the center or down, up, as you wish, based on even the layer that you can select. Now go to the block sections and then take the exit button. You want to say that when exit, what we should do? We should do the notifier. We should go down and then call the notifier like that. This one, put it there, simple. Then we need some text or we should say something, okay, some message. Now you can do whatever you want. Here, what is this duplicate? If instead of copy paste, you can do that duplicate. Now you text whatever you want. Suppose you say, do you want to leave or do you want to close this app and question mark? It can be one case. Some title you can put that warning, suppose. And then for the bottom text also, you can do yes, I do. And for bottom two text, you will say no, stay here. This is for true, and for the false condition is that means that first one will come for the true, next one will come for the what we can say false condition. Then after that, we will take one notifier and then put the control section again there. We say that when notifier is done, what we want that we want to create the true and false condition for us. Now, simply we can select from the math section and some variable like this. Can put it there, yes. What you will get, you will choose now. Yes, like this also we can take the duplicate from that, put it here. And then if you select that key, it say yes, I do. And then what else we need? We need to close the application. Now in the designer, it's okay. There is a screen 1, a screen 2. We can use the emulator like that. Okay, here. We say exit. Now it should give the notification. Yes, warning. Do you want to close this app? Yes, I do, or no. If we say no, it will remain. But if we say yes, it will going and closing the app for us. That was one of the nice and simple even part that you can practice this. Um, you have it in the task, and it's a nice part that we can have. Point number 5 is something that last lecture we had, how to use the camera function. Camera is again one non-visible uh, components that you should run it with the help of some other things, some key, some button like that. Here also is the example of taking the picture with mobile app camera and then show it there. First, we will create the button that we want as per as our requirement. I will change the name of the camera, suppose take picture or take peek. Then we go and put one image at the top. Then we should go for the camera module. Yes, we can put these components there. Now, most of the thing is ready. Just we need some part to show the image. This TinyDB will work for us. Okay, we will go for the blocks part. In the block parts, we have first button. We know that when we press the button, camera should work. Then go for the button and then go for the camera. Then when press the button, the camera will take the picture. Now it's okay. Now we want also to show it. What we should do to show is that we should use this TinyDB bottom and also image section. First from camera, we say that when camera do, then this TinyDB come to picture. We will take the last part, call it. And when from the image, we get the image, yes. Then we can have some text, even some tag it like that. Whatever you want, we can put some peak, like okay. And then again from image section, we can add it here. Okay, and then TinyDB we will put and one more tag. First one will put peak, second one also will put peak. Then as you see, most of the thing is ready now for us. We expected that when we press the key, camera take the photo, and after taking the photo, but we have one warning and one problem here that it should be solved. Anyway, first go for the check the program. Run the program. Yes. Now that button is there. It's showing the button. When it's pressed, Then the camera will be open and it can save. And then after taking these, the image with the name of peak will be saved and restored inside of his mobile. And okay. This had some problem, as you see, it has one warning, and but anyway, it's worked. I also test this method that was working, but even without this, all these teeny dB and that also you can uh, take the photo. Means that first part also will work, but here what it want to give the peak name to means that it specifies some fixed name for the picture which it will take by his mobile phone. Um, anyway, the next point that I think it will be helpful for you, and this is the last point. After that, we will talk regarding the task number 4, is that how to load screen 1 to screen 2 on bottom click. Let us see this. Okay, means that go back to the previous and go to the next one. We test this, even I tell you the methods, but let us see it in practical work. We need 2 bottom, one is next, one is back, and 2 screen. Screen number 1, screen number 2. First, we make the screen. Already you have done some of these parts in task number 3. Now it's just to review for I think 4 students, 5 students didn't send the task. Just for them, I think maybe it will be helpful. First, it will put some label and bottom number 1. Uh, let's do the naming for them, name them, rename them, and size of text and label wants to change. And then rename the text. We say welcome to suppose first screen, something like that. It want to specify and show you that really it's going to the second screen. Okay, it's not a bad habit. It's good job. And rename the bottom also. Put it as the suppose bottom next, or next is also okay if we can put. But text also should be changed. Means that whatever they return on the bottom also should change. They will change it now. Change the color. Beside, let's go to second screen. Okay. Even this color is not good because visibility is less. Then you change the color of the font and then put it in center or any other place that you want. Generally, if you see, if bottom come in the center of your app, it's become more, what we can say, more expert, more nice or smart. Same job it will do for the second screen. And then you will see it will rename the key. And now change the color. Then in the center, we can put it there. Now, next step means that these steps are passed. We should go for the plot part. As he said that you have two options to load. One is that you can open another screen, and based on these, you can screen name, something like that. Another one is that you can close a screen with value. Some value results like that. But even it's very simple also. No need to make it more complex, I'll tell you. Just with the screen and bottom you can do. Yes. When bottom next is click, you can select, put it here. Then in the control, you can go and select a close screen or open another screen is also better. Yes, open a screen with name. Now which screen you should specify with the text part. Select this, put here, but put the name of the screen. What do you call that screen? You put second. Okay. See, the name of a screen was second. Then that is why we put it second here. And then as that person also written that, it means that first screen still is open and new screen will be again, it means that two screen is open, but it's not good because you should close the last screen and then open the new screen. This point I like that when he used. And again, it's going in the second screen. It's going to select that. But which screen it should close? When it should close what it has done, let me tell you in brief. When you press the key, it will open the second screen, and when go to the second screen, close the first screen, like that. Okay, simple. The meaning is that the second screen will be closed. And open the first screen. Okay, name also it will put. Now, most of the job for this app is finished. And then we will test. it will test an emulator, which we don't have on our what we can say on our system, and now that part is working very nice, and you can test. Then, why I wanted you to see this was that how we can use the blocks inside of the app inventor. Okay, now let us talk about our task. Our task is something like this. We have 3 pages. Page 1, which we call it login page, page 2, and page 3. Page 1 is a university logo that you had, but you will put and enter your name and put the login. After entering your name should come in the second page, first here as I locate, and you have 3 things. One is media section, one is music player, one is your image. Same as what you have for the music player. Next and back. Back will come to the login page. Next will go to the third page. Okay. In third page, you have camera, video cam, sound recorders, and other parts which we had in media. Okay. Try to put as much as you can. And one exit button. Next here is exit. It's wrong. And back should come to the page number 2. You have 1 week to do this, and if you can do this, then most of the part for the app inventor is see here also in page 3 your name should come here at the top, not here. This is the changing the data and information between the screens that we have. I will share this on the group just now. You can also see it, and what we can say, you can also see the question once more, and even if you had a problem for that, you can ask me in private till next week, but don't put much more delay between today lecture and making this. Start to make it and start to even start to make it and start to write your task. Okay, just 1 minute. I do something wrong. Okay, I will share this. Meanwhile that I will share the part, please turn on your camera that we can do the attendance, and we will stop for today's lecture.